Who do you text the most in a day?
I mean, my wife.
That's nice. Kevin and I do not text.
Do you talk on the phone?
No. Ew, I hate when he calls.
What? No, we don't text. Ooh, I hate when he calls.
Oh, he hates when I call. Wait, like, I will see his name on my phone. I'm like, oh! Because it's not to be like, hey, you want to have lunch? Or, you know, have I told you today you're beautiful? It's like, I think tonight we should have string beans. Welcome into Scoop City. I'm the athletic senior NFL insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played in the NFL for 14 years.
2 playoff games this weekend, 3 games left in the 2024 season. We are here, winners this weekend, head to the Super Bowl. We are going to get into all of that, what we are watching, and what we're going to be talking about on Monday. I want to go back and do that. I know we did this last week, but I think it's a good exercise to kind of discover what the others focused on in these games, because we both are looking at this, I think, differently.
Were we right on our headlines from last week? Do we even know what they were?
I don't recall, but I'm going to guess that we were right. Let's just say we were right.
We were definitely right.
And then, of course, the stories that have been really hanging over all the games have been the coaching hiring. So the New York Jets have got their guy, Aaron Glenn, the new head coach. He'll be introduced on Monday formally. So let's just do this. Let's get right to it. Here's what I'm hearing around the league about all this. Well, the New York Jets got a head start on their head coaching search after they fired Robert Saleh in Week 5. And here in the New York area, I can tell you, when I've been listening to sports talk radio, I can't believe how many people think that that was a mistake to fire Robert Saleh. But
it was a mistake.
Those days are over. It is a new chapter for the New York Jets. Aaron Glenn, the former Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, the former New York Jet player, 30 years later, now becomes the main guy. So you know how long this took for them. They interviewed over a dozen candidates, right?
Many.
They had a search firm of Rick Spielman, Mike Tannenbaum, the former New York Jets GM and the current ESPN analyst, spearhead this search. And look, they cast a wide net, and we made fun of them on the show because it felt like they didn't know what they wanted, right? Because they were talking to so many people. When in fact, I've learned that they just weren't finding what they know what they want. They just weren't hearing that and getting or seeing what it is that they were looking for until they really sat down with Aaron Glenn. I don't think it hurt that Bill Parcells gave him a very high vote of confidence.
Oh, really? I didn't hear
Sean
that.
Payton out in the world.
I saw Sean Payton's tweet. It was awesome.
Yeah, Sean's tweeting. Yeah, that's really cool. Obviously, they spent time together. He was a DB's coach on Sean's New Orleans Saints team for a number of years. So they know each other very well. And behind the scenes, Peyton had always been expressing that Aaron Glenn has the makeup of a head coach, right? That there's your man of the people. There is your tough coach, your accountability, your disciplinarian. And I think based on this crop of coaches, based on what they had in front of them, I think this was a home run hire for the New York Jets.
Are you surprised they went defense again? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't live in the New York area. I was surprised they went defense, even though I know Aaron Glenn personally because I was on the team that he was a coach for in New Orleans. But are you surprised? And then I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm surprised because they just have known for so many years that the defensive-minded head coach is fine, but they need somebody on offense to be the answer for them because that's where they're struggling, right? We're going Eric Mangini, Rex Ryan, obviously Robert Saleh, Adam Gase was in there. He obviously was offense. Yeah. But to come off Saleh to go defense again.
That was my thought.
And you know what? It's funny because I do think it is so difficult to figure out if this is the right fit for your team based on what a lot of these coaches are presenting in these interviews. Because it's one thing to say you're going to do it and be about it, and maybe some things that you found out or know about this person, but it's another to have to do it in real time and apply it in a new place, right? Remember when Saleh was beloved in this league for so much of his energy and positivity when he was a DC? And then he got here in the New York area and became the head coach of the Jets, and it just, that wasn't his vibe anymore. That's not what he was appreciated for, because he changed a bit. So I'm just hoping for Aaron Glenn that he stays true to who he is, even if this is going to be a hard gig.
That's my thing, Dianna, and sometimes it's hard to see, but I was going to say exactly that. Like, I feel like Saleh did change once he became a head coach. Still a great defensive mind, awesome play caller as a defense, but like, I felt like he had to change when he got that job. He was the first-time head coach, and you know about Woody Johnson, and you know the tentacles, that's a good word, that he has in that organization and how he wants it to be run a certain way. And they go with another. I don't think
the word is tentacles, my friend. It's hammer.
Okay, what is it? Power.
It's hammer.
Tentacle powered.
Hammer, like a tool.
Rules with the iron fist.
I am going to get involved, right? And this is what Woody Johnson's known for. Love it or hate it, it's his choice. He owns the team. He wants to be part of it.
Do you think that's why they went with another first-time head coach? Because there's certain head coaches that they interviewed who have been a part of it that would want to do stuff a certain way. So this just tells me, one, I'm going to talk about Aaron Glenn in a second, but I want to hear your thought on that.
I think you have to look at who they met with and who they believed could bring the things that they're looking for from a head coach.
Yeah.
Arthur Smith was the other name that I was keeping a close eye on. I thought maybe Arthur had a good shot. Obviously, he's offensive.
Yeah, who are the finalists? Arthur? Like, in
there
your
were
opinion?
no finalists. There were none. It was just, so the way it went, from what I understand, remember, it started off with a Ron Rivera visit. There was Ron Rivera. From what I hear, it was a fine interview. It wasn't a good fit, though. The next day, Mike Vrabel came in, blew the doors off, just blew Woody away. Loved him. They were ready to hire him. They were going to do anything they needed to do, including giving him full roster control and essentially the power to just report to the owner, right? Everything that you could possibly ask for.
Yeah.
And God only knows what they would have given him in terms of the financial part of it, right? I'm sure whatever Vrabel would have wanted. So they meet with him. Okay. From what I understand, Vrabel was interested. He liked Woody. He liked what he was hearing. He liked sort of what they were about. Then, if you remember, so this is a Friday, that Sunday, Gerard Mayo gets fired. Then
interesting timing, huh?
Timing.
Wonder how that happens. If you're the owner of the Patriots, you meet our number one candidate, met with the Jets, about to take it. Okay, let's fire.
Robert. Well, remember too, Vrabel had interest from the Chicago Bears as well. They were also making a push. All this stuff was happening before the Patriots could even get involved. So that's why that moved so fast. And the Dallas Cowboys too. A lot of people don't know that.
So I don't know that at all.
Guess who knew that? Robert Kraft knew that. Robert Kraft knew that the Jones family had interest.
Vrabel had all the leverage.
Okay, so now you go from, this is our guy, we want this guy bad. Okay, he's off the market. Now we got to figure out what we're going to do next.
Gotcha.
And I think that hurt the Jets a little, because
100%.
it's just like anything else. I equate it to the wedding dress analogy of, they always tell you not to
the first one you meet with.
Don't try on the expensive wedding dress, because the dress that you're going to wind up with is going to probably be a lot cheaper and not be as great. And I'm not calling Aaron Glenn a cheap wedding dress. I just think the bar was really high. And I do think he has tons of qualities, Aaron Glenn himself, that match up with the things that they did like about Vrabel. So that's a win.
And I
so
think with
no
Aaron
one got
Glenn,
second interviews. No one got second interviews but Aaron Glenn.
Well, good for him, because I do think I was with him in 2017 when he was a DB's coach in New Orleans, and he played for New Orleans a year before I got there in 2008, I believe. I got there in 2009, so there was a lot of talk on there, and they came back when I came back. He was DB's coach, and you could just tell, like, first of all, the fact that he played, I think, always matters when you're talking about a head coach, and when you're talking about a really good coach, that matters. He understands the players. The players understand him. He's very family oriented in terms of, like, not only his family, but like, hey, come over to the house. Like, let's hang out. Like, he's very inviting. He's very, very normal. And people are like, oh, that's a bad, well, not really. He's very relatable. And I think that's something that NFL guys can go with and understand with, and they are going to get a leader. They're going to get a really good defensive mind. They're only going to get a leader men. They're going to get a really good defensive mind too.
Okay, what if you had the relationship with Aaron Glenn and you could sit with him and say, okay, here's something you need to avoid here with the New York Jets. Here's something I would suggest as somebody that's been in football, that's followed football, that we've seen the mistakes be made. What would you say to him?
Well, I would say do things your way, because I've been with some head coaches that
I think that's great advice.
Have asked for too much advice from outside influence, and maybe head coaches that have been there but have failed and have not trusted their gut. So I would say do things your way. Now, it's good that you get input from the outside, but I've seen it firsthand with some coaches that don't really trust their gut, and they're sort of you got to be 100% all in, and you got to be firm belief that your way is the right way.
I was at the owners' meeting, and Adam Gase was there. So Adam Gase was doing some consulting work with the NFL.
Yeah,
he was helping.
What is he doing there?
And I saw him in the hall, and I haven't seen Adam in years. In fact, I went up to him. I was like, there's no way he remembers me. But he did. And he's awesome. Just so thoughtful, really nice guy. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I just went for it. I was like, what'd you think what'd you do wrong in New York? Like, what do you
did not ask him that.
Because I love understanding people's journeys and things they did wrong, things they did right. Because I think I just like to learn from it myself. Of just like, where did you mess up? And when we dove into it, and I'm not going to share all of our conversation, but we talked about the media. He underestimated that factor, not the aggressive side to it. It's not the mean media. Like that's not what he was worried about. It was just understanding how to have that relationship, how to make it work, and understand that they have jobs to do. He wishes he did that different. We talked about the press conference. Obviously, we all know the Adam Gase introductory press conference where his eyeballs were popping out of his head. But he definitely dove into what you were talking about, which is why I think that's great advice about doing it the way you want to do it. And making sure you stay on that path.
That's why they hired you.
Yeah. I've had other coaches, not Adam Gase, who have said the same thing. I wish I did it my way. I wish I didn't let others influence me. So I think that's good advice. I think understanding Woody Johnson and being ready for some of the obstacles that come with it. I'm going to guess Aaron Glenn has reached out to Robert Saleh. I'm sure he's reached out to Rex Ryan. To just find out, what is this all about? How can I make this work? Not how can I deal with it, but how can we make this work?
That's a good way to think about it.
How can we always be in the same boat, rowing in the same direction? That's got to be the way. And look, I get there's probably some people going, well, it's Woody. You know, you may not be able to even get in the same boat as him.
That's me.
But yeah,
that's
I don't know.
What I think.
You gotta hope there's some growth there from a 78-year-old man.
Quickly before we move on, has he talked with Rodgers, and what's the deal with? I mean, we talked about it on our show. I mean, I had no idea. I would say absolutely move on from Rodgers because I think he would undermine Aaron Glenn's authority as a first-time head coach. That's what I think. What have you heard?
You are a fantastic analyst because
thanks, Dianna.
A couple people that have interviewed for that job, or everyone has asked the same question: what do you want to do with Aaron Rodgers? It's in every interview. And I have yet to talk to a candidate who said, let's stick with him. So I don't know what Aaron Glenn wants to do. Divisive is obviously the word that comes up a lot. And look, there are enough people in this league who think Aaron Rodgers can still play. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to keep playing.
Yeah, I think he's still playing. There's nothing
but
to do with
I understand why it may be time. You know, and I don't think this is something where Woody's going to cry about it either, knowing that relationship. Telling
me something.
No, I am. I don't know exactly what Aaron Glenn feels, how he feels about Aaron Rodgers, but I can tell you that it would not surprise me if the Jets turn the page on Aaron Rodgers and move on. Ben Johnson, introduction, Bears head coach. Before we get into what your takeaway was of him, what do you make of the clapping? So if you don't know, if you haven't seen any of these videos.
Oh, I've seen them.
it's become a thing in the last 2 years, 3 years.
Especially Bears. They're very regal there. I've been there 2 years. They're very just like tradition oriented. You know what I mean?
So that's why I think that's weird that they're doing that.
I don't think
teams are making hires, and they're getting the staff of that organization to line up all around the building, on the stairwell, up on the
everything.
What do you call those? It's just like just
overhang.
standing out in the lobby, the overhang, and the person walks in, and they get this standing O. The Tennessee Titans did it when they hired GM Trent Baalke. It's so
You're
it is
a hater.
I am not a hater. I think it's
Yes, you
weird.
are.
They haven't
Why?
done anything yet. Like, what are we clapping for?
Well, they're clapping because they just paid $13.5 million for him, and then they're like they want to make him feel at home. And I thought it was awesome. Honestly, if I was in his position, I would love it too. Like you feel at home. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool that he was with his kids too.
That I was going to say
his wife.
That's such a parent thing, by the way, that you don't appreciate until you become one.
Oh, it's
now
awesome.
I love to watch the kids' reactions. And
I just was staring at the kids. And he's got young kids like me.
I know they'll never forget that moment.
You know what I love though, because I obviously was with Chicago for 2 years in Matt Nagy's first 2 years. Yeah, the one thing that I loved that Ben Johnson said to the people in the organization, paraphrasing here, he said, it's all about the players. Every single thing we do, every single day is about those guys in that locker room. And he kept the main thing. If I'm a player watching that, I'm like, hell yeah, that's our guy. And you're right. The organization has all the support staff, and they are amazing people. They really are. Like, they run the business, the janitors, to the kitchen guys, to the equipment room, to the front office, to the president. It's all about those guys, because if those guys don't feel the love, we're not going to be successful as an organization. And I could not agree more.
Yeah, it's good messaging. Sure sounds like Dan Campbell, which is a great thing, right? This is why he stayed in Detroit. He wanted to learn. And look, I'm sure he was like that naturally too, but it didn't hurt to have a leader like Dan Campbell, who is a very player first type of CEO, we'll call him. So it makes a lot of sense. But, you know, watching even the players that attended the press conference, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, that was cool. I like when the star players are there. I like when the quarterback's there. Why not? Like, support your guy. Let's start this thing off on the right page and show that support for the guy that I think that was the grand slam hire in this coaching cycle. They got it right. Chicago needed to get this right, and they did.
Yeah. I mean, I that's a Ted Cruz special where all those guys are sitting front row on the far left. I'm like, that's a little bit of a, but I like that they were there.
So Ted Cruz is the former communications director of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Amazing.
So he is now a vice president over with the Chicago Bears. I think he actually is part of the front office now.
Part of the front office now, which
is with Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles. Yeah. Yes, and we talk about them now, and we're giving them their flowers and complimenting how they did this, but they were also the three people that a lot of coaches were concerned about in meeting with the Chicago Bears.
I don't know about Ted. I would say for sure. I mean, maybe I like Ted.
It's no. It has nothing. It's not a personal thing. It's
I would say it'd be more Kevin, right?
It's Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles, and Ted. It's like it was. What is this? What is this about? Who has the power?
Yeah,
because sometimes
what
happens
I can tell
when
you probably Ryan Poles does not have that power there.
When you have that many people weighing in on things, coaches have told me this is where it causes the problems.
I will say though
that was the issue there.
In the total sense, I will say though I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan. I would have stayed there the rest of my career if they didn't want to move on from me. We loved it there. But you got to give it to Chicago because this was the ball of the bell, you said, like the home run hire.
All the way around. Bell of the ball. But yeah.
Ball of the bell.
Ball of the bell.
I stink at those. My wife, don't let my wife hear this. She listens.
I know, so do I.
This is the bell of the ball for the Chicago Bears.
We need to rename this podcast.
At least you're like that with me.
The listeners are like, yo, rename it to idiots, but it's just Dumb and Dumber. That's what we should have named this thing.
Anyway, the bell of the ball, they They got it right, and they spent money, and they went after it, and everyone thought he was going to the Raiders, and it was just like a foregone conclusion, and we're literally filming the show as this happens. We have to start refilming, and we're like, we came to the conclusion, I'm like, they have the best talent in the roster. Why wouldn't Ben Johnson go? And all of a sudden, it just makes sense. It's smart. It doesn't mean it's going to work out, but it's smart. He's probably the top candidate in the last 3 or 4 years, and they got their guy.
Look, this is a guy that Tom Brady was infatuated with over the last few weeks. He wanted him in Vegas, and Chicago got him. They gave him big bucks.
The bag.
It was all about Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams helped get this deal done because of his talent and the belief that they have in him. So Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, they are off the market. Who will be the next head coach in Dallas? I cannot believe we still don't know the answer yet. When we get back, we're going to talk about who's up for that job. This could be getting done soon. Also in New Orleans, what is the plan there? All I know is I see snow on Bourbon Street, and I'm freaking out because we're going there for the Super Bowl, and I don't want to be wearing winter boots down there. I was hoping to wear high heels. When we get back, we're going to dive right into what we think Dallas and New Orleans will be doing next. All right, back here on Scoop City. Jerry Jones, what are you doing, my friend? What are you doing? The Dallas Cowboys are still searching for a head coach. It appears that Brian Schottenheimer, who's now had his second interview that, according to NFL Network's Shane Slater, lasted over 5 hours. They got into it. And it just sounds like, and people are chatting around the league, that Brian Schottenheimer has a really good chance of getting this Dallas Cowboys job. So I say that to you, Chase. Obviously, he was the offensive coordinator the last 2 years. His father, Marty Schottenheimer, understands, has tons of experience. And obviously, Brian Schottenheimer has been around forever, right? He was Eric Mangini's offensive coordinator with the New York Jets in 2007.
That's crazy.
Like, I'm just thinking of like the most random jobs he's had. He's been everywhere. He obviously was in Seattle, had some success with Russell Wilson, had a lot of success with Russell Wilson. So now I tell you this, and what do you feel?
This is such a Dallas move. Like, this is such a Dallas move.
I don't think it's a Dallas move.
I do.
Why do you think it's a Dallas move?
Because look, Dallas has not gotten their head coaching hire right in 35 years. And that was Jimmy Johnson. Chan Gailey, Dave Campo, Bill Parcells. Okay, you say, hey, he was right. 50% win percentage. He won 0-2 in the playoffs. Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy was out of a job when he got hired. Like Jason Garrett was a backup quarterback. You know, it just, they never make the splash hires. So this fits right in line, actually, with what they are known for. Jerry hasn't gotten the hire right for 35 years. Let's be real. And the reason Jerry hires, and I know Marty Schottenheimer. I know Brian Schottenheimer. Marty Schottenheimer coached Breeze, who's my neighbor, and Breeze has nothing but amazing things to say about Marty. In fact, he said, saved my career. And I like the dad, too. Or, like, I like the son, Brian. However, he's never been a head coach. He doesn't have head coaching experience. And this is not an indictment on him, but, like, he's been around the league forever. You let go of a Super Bowl winning coach. If this happens, we don't know if it happens, but you let go of a Super Bowl winning coach who you could have had, and you decide to go through, there's everyone else, you get a late start to it. You don't even interview Ben Johnson. You don't even interview all these other big name guys. And Kellen Moore's out there, which I think would be good, but you end up with Brian Schottenheimer, and it's because Jerry wants to pull the strings. Jerry will never give up control and pulling the strings. And Brian Schottenheimer's like, here's a carrot. It's dangling in front of me, and you get to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, but I get to pull the strings. Okay, cool. Let's do it. And I'm like what? Like, what? If you just go back and look at their head coaches, Dianna, this is who they hire. They hire people, and it's been that way since Jimmy Johnson, Chan Gailey. You know, they freaking fired Jimmy Johnson after he won back-to-back Super Bowls, Dianna. And it was because that Jerry Jones wanted more control, and he has not given up that control. And Dallas is never going to break through until he does. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the show before too, and the comfort that Dak has. I think that's a win that Dak
totally
Brian Schottenheimer had, and they have a good, strong relationship. The unfortunate part about this, in terms of planning, is if you hire Brian Schottenheimer, you just let all those coaches go. Right, so all those coaches were on one-year deals, including Mike Zimmer. We'll see what he does if he decides to stay the defensive coordinator, or do they go back with familiarity, people they know, a Matt Eberflus type. You know, which, obviously he was fired from Chicago. That would make sense. The Cowboys also interviewed Robert Saleh, and our John Machota, he's our Cowboys beat reporter for The Athletic. He just did a fun poll as we're waiting for this news to come together about just ask people on Twitter, 13,000 fans. If the Dallas Cowboys head coaching job came down to the 4 coaches they've interviewed, who would you want to get the job? Kellen Moore, Robert Saleh, Leslie Frazier, Brian Schottenheimer. Kellen Moore, 23.5%. Robert Saleh, 67.1%. Leslie Frazier, 4.1%. Brian Schottenheimer, 5.4%.
Hey, Shotty wasn't last.
Close, though, by 1%. I'm baffled by the Saleh, 67%, but I get it. I thought Kellen Moore would have a higher number from fans, but it's not what the fans think. It's what Jerry Jones thinks. I want to find out why Shotty is getting the edge over Kellen Moore. Is it the simple fact that...
Maybe Kellen said no.
I don't think so. I think Kellen wants to coach the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about the Eagles and maybe why Kellen Moore would want to coach the Dallas Cowboys in a few. Mike McCarthy, though, we know he's available. New Orleans, they have interest in Mike McCarthy. They're going to meet with him next week. Anthony Weaver, the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator, is expected to be in New Orleans on Thursday afternoon. They had some weather situations with the snow down there, so a lot of flights have been moved around and people have had to change their plans. Weather causing all types of headaches for people flying lately. But hopefully they sort that out. Like it's kind of wild to think like a coaching search is being held up because of flights and weather. It's like
I didn't really believe that. Don't they have like private jets and private runways?
I texted people about that as well. I was like, nobody can get a private jet right now and just figure this out.
And they said,
no one seems to be in a hurry. That was the answer I got.
That makes me think they're holding out for some other people that are in the playoffs, a.k.a. Joe Brady, a.k.a. Kellen Moore.
Or Nick Sirianni. I wish Dallas would hire him. How funny would that be?
God.
Nick Sirianni gets fired after the championship weekend.
You were full of hot takes today.
The thing is, you know better than anyone. I hate hot takes. I hate giving them. I hate going viral with my stupid opinions. But I know that would be.
Your opinions aren't stupid. Let's be real. It's your opinion. You just called your opinion stupid.
It's not that they're stupid. They're just my space. I'm good with information. I have my opinions, but
really well.
I like to stay out of that world. That's your world. All right, let's go up to New England. Too. I know it's hard. What's your opinion about Josh McDaniels returning to New England as the offensive coordinator? You hate it?
It's like a cat with 9 lives. Why?
Okay. All right. Let's peel the onion.
Ooh,
one of our producers, Jeremy, is definitely paying attention to everything I say right now because he wants. I'm sure he's like scratching at the screen.
I'm sure he hates it too.
No, I think he likes it. Okay, we'll figure it out. Jeremy, we may have you weigh in. Okay, I look at it this way: you have a Bill Belichick type of style, not exact, back in New England. You have a young rookie quarterback that needs some growth and guidance and help. What better person than someone that is comfortable in the New England way, comfortable in the Patriot building? Nothing's new for him in terms of all the life stuff that comes when you're changing with the different plays. He's never moved. Josh McDaniels basically lived in the Massachusetts area the whole time, or in the Foxborough area this whole time. Take away all the life stuff, just his ability. You're telling me Mike Vrabel hired Josh McDaniels without making calls to people that Josh McDaniels coached? Like, I don't know, Vrabel's best friend Tom Brady? Like, of course they probably talked about it. It was like, what do you think of this guy? You don't make a move like that. And by the way, who else are you bringing in? What other offensive coordinators are out there that you're like, you know what? This would have been the right guy for Drake May.
My whole thing with rehiring him is this is his third stint now. He's been a head coach twice.
But he's never been fired as an OC.
I gotcha.
He
so
just
my
got
my thing with the whole Patriot way, and maybe Jeremy can weigh in better than I can, like, it feels like they're just trying to go back to something. Like I feel like they're not really changing with time. It's like, all right, you fired Bill, or you and Bill Belichick go different ways, and then you have a head coach in waiting. We're gonna hire him under the same umbrella. Okay, now you got hired. Now there's someone else better out there. Oh, let's hire Mike Vrabel. Oh, what's Mike Vrabel do? Let's go back a few years, 10 years. Let's hire Josh McDaniels. Like, I just feel like the game's sort of changing, and it's just
I
like they keep
understand the
hiring the same
resistance.
people.
It feels that way, and I get it, because it's like, all right, we got to move on from this. But when you start to really boil it down, it's, well, that era was very successful. Tom Brady's no longer there. And as much as people do, and I know I said, like, you know, Belichick way is instilled in a lot of Mike Vrabel, they are very different people.
Tell me a good offense that Josh McDaniels has had other than Tom Brady.
Mac Jones.
Oh my!
He was good with Mac.
Dianna.
That was at least decent compared.
Tim Tebow, like, you know.
He had a little bit of run there.
Stop it, Dianna. Stop it.
I mean, it wasn't phenomenal, but I like this because I think that the raw talent, not even raw talent, but what Drake May has shown us already gets elevated.
Oh, he's got a guy
like Josh McDaniel.
He's got a guy. That's one thing the Patriots have. I mean, is Drake May. I mean,
they got money.
Yeah,
I think they've got the right head coach. They got the quarterback, and they got money. I still think.
And you think they have the right offensive coordinator?
And I do. Yeah. I was having a conversation with a GM in the division the other day. He's like, they're going to win 8 games next year. He's like, the last person I wanted
I can see that.
to get that job was Mike Vrabel. I was like, yep, sorry about that, buddy.
I can see
Have fun with that.
For sure.
They also named Terrell Williams the defensive coordinator. So I know you probably don't know a lot about Terrell Williams, but I covered him a lot in Tennessee. I'm not allowed to have favorites, but he is my favorite coach in football.
Let's go.
He coached the D-line in Tennessee. He was the assistant head coach in Detroit last year. And you want to get the most out of a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, who's already naturally talented, you bring in a guy like this guy.
Yeah.
All the guys on defense in football, like, no, they call him Big T because he's a big dude. But he's just one of those coaches that he understands the players, but also gets the relationships that he needs to have with the head coach and getting the most out of everybody. So he's a really good fit, and it just makes a lot of sense that they bring him on. And Jeremy Springer was the special teams coordinator from last season. They kept him on, which I thought was really interesting because usually they clear house, but they decided to stick with him. So we will see how this will come together. On paper, I love it, right? It's hard to get this right. I think Robert Kraft, A++, but we will see the results. All right, it is time to dive into championship weekend. Let's start off with the Commanders at the Eagles. And I figured we would go back to what we did last week, which was our Monday headlines. What are we going to be talking about on Monday coming out of this game? So I want to go first. How about that?
Surprise, surprise. Go ahead.
Commanders at Eagles, 3:30 Eastern, first game of Sunday's matchups. Can the Eagles stop the Commanders' explosive plays?
Ooh,
right? Washington's offense, as we've seen, they're built on taking advantage of numbers. We see it every single week. Can the Eagles force them to drive and stop them in the red zone? That's what I think is going to be a key component in trying to control Cliff Kingsbury's offense and obviously the incredible talent of Daniels. You thought I was going to take the Eagles offense. I know you did.
No,
but
I actually think that's so smart of you.
Thank you. I think this is a big storyline. Can this defense stay patient and force Jaden to make mistakes? Because he's still I know he's exceptional. I know he's the best rookie quarterback we've ever seen. But he is playing in the NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial, right? That place is going to be a zoo.
Yeah.
So that is what I think is going to be the storyline that we'll be talking about on Monday.
I love that. And look, I played under Vic Fangio when he was the defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. And the number one thing that he was worried about all the time would make him lose sleep is vertical pass game. That's why he plays so much too high defense. And you're right. De'Ami Brown, Scary Terry out there on the outside, they stretch the field vertically. So these DBs, Darius Slay, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, all these guys for the Eagles have to be on their toes. That's a great storyline, and one that could honestly win or lose them the game. You know, even if you get into the red zone, make red zone stops, you're good. Obviously, Eagles have top 3 defense in every major category this year. Vic Fangio's done a great job. All right, my headline coming out of the Commanders-Eagles game.
I think I know what this is going to be, but I can't wait to hear.
You have no idea. You have no idea what it's going to be. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC. If Jaden Daniels wins this game, I think that we need to start talking about him quite literally as the best quarterback in the NFC. I know there's Hurts. I know there's Dak Prescott. I know there's Purdy. I know there's Matthew Stafford, which we're not sure what Matthew Stafford's going to do. And it's crazy to think that way. But if you, first of all, he's one of 6 rookies to start a conference championship game. Those other 5 rookies before him, they were 0-5. He will be the first rookie quarterback to ever start a Super Bowl if they win, and you have to start talking about him as the best quarterback in the NFC. We already know he's the best rookie. Forget about that. He's going for the top spot. A lot of the good ones are in the AFC, right? There's some good ones in the NFC. I think he takes the top spot if they win.
Can you imagine what the hype would be for a rookie quarterback starting in the Super Bowl in New Orleans for the Washington Commanders?
It's crazy.
Do you think Dan Snyder would watch that game?
Oh, my God.
Right?
No.
Like, do you think he
No.
I bet
he's on his yacht somewhere.
Yeah, he's out
so
there
true.
not paying attention to any of this. Look, I know we didn't dive into it, but I'm going to add one more thing that I'm going to be talking about on Monday if the Eagles win, and that's going to be, are they able to overcome the possibility of this Commanders defense stopping Saquon in the run game? Will Jalen?
See, you did it, not me.
I know, but I'm concerned for the Eagles.
Yeah,
He's got this knee injury. He's out of practice. He doesn't look fabulous. He just looks okay with the knee injury, and them having to possibly have to rely on this passing game. Is that going to be good enough? Are the Washington Commanders going to be able to shut them down?
That's a great point. I mean, the Commanders, they want to win in a shootout. They don't feel like they can stop many people on defense. They're going to go for it.
And you don't want to be in a shootout with the Commanders.
You don't want to be in a shootout with them. It's crazy. All right, next game. What you got? You can go first. Bills at Chiefs, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, primetime slot.
All right. It's simple. And I can't believe I'm saying it this way because it's usually the opposite. Can the Chiefs offense keep up with the Bills offense? Right? Because usually we're talking about it the other way. It's can you keep up with the Chiefs? The Bills right now have figured out ways to put up points and stay ahead in most of these games. Can the Chiefs continue to match and make this a shootout? And hopefully there'll be more than 12 seconds left at the end of this game. Hopefully it doesn't come down to that like we saw last time. So I think with this Bills O-line, so underrated. Okay,
yeah, they're playing great.
We give Philly all their love. Obviously, the Chiefs have done a really good job in the trenches as well. But the Bills, to me, that's been a bit of their secret weapon, as well as Sean McDermott, who we've given a lot of credit to on this show as well. But it's really going to come down to, can Travis Kelce continue his playoff emergence? And really, can other players step up here in preparation for this? Because I do think that the Bills have a good game plan headed into this one to try to slow this down.
Oh, you're spot on. I think the receivers for the Chiefs have to show up. I think the running game has to show up. But the thing for me, to piggyback off what you said, can the Chiefs offense keep up with the Bills offense? I think it's going to come down to the Bills defense. And quite honestly, if they hold Kansas City to under 27 points, they're going to win the game. That's what I really think, because just numbers, Josh Allen era, they are 4-0 in games where the defense, if he holds them, their offense to under 27 points, they win. They're 3-5 if they score over 27. So that's what I'm looking at for them. Their defense has been playing great. My headline, surprise, surprise, officially time to put Patrick Mahomes in the GOAT conversation. If he goes to his third straight Super Bowl, like the GOAT,
who
the
is
GOAT.
not? Oh, you're saying
No.
Because we always say
GOAT.
Tom. We go Tom Brady, GOAT, greatest to ever do it.
Yep. If you
Patrick's on his way. We say Patrick's on his way.
Patrick's on his way. We say that I think it's time to really say and have an uncomfortable conversation with a lot of these Brady lovers out there that Patrick Mahomes, first of all, he's not even 30. If they win, he has a chance to win his fourth Super Bowl. Brady did not have a fourth Super Bowl when he was 30. So he's going to be on pace to outpace him, which is crazy. It's crazy. 7 straight AFC Championship games. And it's just, man, Mahomes in the playoffs, he's on another level with his legs, with his arm, just finds a way to win. I think this game's going to be really, really close, though.
I've yet to even let my head wrap around the idea of a Washington-Buffalo Super Bowl like we saw in 1991, right? Like just bring it all back. But I do think there's a part of both of us that we do want to see the Chiefs get back in it and see if they can get that three-peat. I love the petty. I was just thinking about like Zach Ertz's journey, because remember last time they played the Commanders played the Eagles. Nick Sirianni and Zach Ertz had that little
into a tiff
thing, that little tiff where Nick was like talking shit to Zach about whatever. So figure Zach, he was drafted in the second round, 3-time Pro Bowler with Philadelphia, holds the record for most receptions for a tight end when he was to Philadelphia. Gets traded away for some random corner or whatever to Arizona. Doesn't do much with the Cardinals. Then he's on the Detroit practice squad.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then, right? And then he signs with the Commanders on a 1-year deal for like $3 million. And in the regular season, he's got more receptions than the 2 tight ends in Philadelphia this season.
Yeah.
Right?
7 touchdowns too.
Right? 66 receptions he has. Wow. Yeah. He's got double the amount of touchdowns than the 2 tight ends in Philadelphia. Right? So Zach doesn't need to say anything, and I doubt Nick Sirianni.
That's awesome.
I say he doubt it, but I don't think so. So we will see. We'll see where Big Dom will be out, and it'll be a little warmer in Philadelphia too at the Lynx. So he'll still be in short sleeves. Look, I can't wait. This is gonna be awesome. We got great matchups. I know we think we know what we're going to talk about on Monday, but I have a feeling this will be one of those things we did not see coming, and I look forward to it. So we'll see if those head coaches get hired over the weekend as well. So either way, we can't wait to talk to you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you.
Bye, guys. Tag you next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.